Hello and welcome everyone to the monthly meeting of the Athens Motion Commission to implement the bike and pedestrian master plan. Screen. This will also serve as our annual meeting. We'll get to that momentarily. Here's our agenda. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger here. I will go ahead and do roll call. Lauren. Art.
Here.
Teresa.
Here.
Randy.
Here.
Alan.
Here.
Ed.
Here.
And Julie is out. She might come in later remote. Blaine.
Here.
Gabriella.
Here.
Right. And then we have Daniel, Katie, Jason, and special guest. Before we go into public comment, Daniel, have we received any comments online? Okay. All right, and then we have one person here to give public comment, Ms. Jacqueline, for 3 minutes. Do you want to stand up and introduce yourself? And Daniel, do you have a timer?
Oh,
And are you going to?
Yeah, and can you let us know when she has a minute?
is it 3 minutes total?
Yeah, I think so. So we do public comment similar to mayor and commission, 3 minutes. And Jacqueline and I have exchanged email. So you can if there's anything else you want to pass on, because I know 3 minutes is not very long. Okay. So ready?
Yep.
Take it away.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Austin. I hail from Michigan. Go Blue.
Yeah.
And I am an organizer advocate. I now live here. I reside because of my fiance here in Athens, Georgia. Again, I organize around transit justice, water justice, all type of justices, you name it. And one of the things is invisible disability. I have a disability. Right now, in the state of Michigan, the city of Detroit, we have a glove for the ADA community that utilizes help those with invisible disabilities and visible ones to wear the mitt, signal the driver to stop at the bus stop if they're alone. And it might be a good idea if you want to poke at that idea for those that are disabled, because of the simple fact when it's cold weathers, I know our northern weathers can be atrocious, but that would be a great idea to consider, considering the fact that those are waiting at the bus stops can utilize that network of systems, and also have the drivers recognize that this is a symbol. It'll have the cities, it'll have Athens, Georgia symbol on it, or whatever symbol you guys utilize for public transit and ADA transit. But speaking for someone, I mean, yeah, I look good. I'm hopping around real good, but I suffer from fibromyalgia. There's joint pains. There's things that a person like myself and others could really benefit. And it also enables the individual to board the front of the bus. I know this was an issue during the pandemic where you just had to get in where you fit in. But in Michigan right now, in Detroit, actually, we utilize the glove to signal the drivers, whether suburban or city bus service, and the ADA community to help them, move about. And also there's signage. There's virtual, things. That's what I'm So I like him. And with that, it's like we live in a digital world. We can't expect for everybody to have these funny little devices, but it's good to have public comment and invite the people on the bus to have something on the bus where they can scan it, come to a meeting, the room will be filled. I just happen to be an advocate, so I kind of put myself here, right? And then for the fact that I am disabled myself, at times I do drive, but more or less, I would rather depend on public transportation because gas is hideous.
Yes.
And I thank
Yes.
you for my time.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And I know that we do have transit here today. We'll get an update from them. That might be a little bit later.
Okay.
But this meeting is recorded, so if you need to roll out, you should be able to pull it back up and we'll have a chat. And so something, Athens-Clarke County has so many boards, authorities and commissions. I think they're talking about consolidating some of them, but there has not, to my knowledge, ever been a commission for bus riders for transit. So that's something, I mean, that's like outside of our purview or whatever, but that is something to note. So maybe we can have a conversation, or, you know, we do have reflective vests that we hand out to people and reflective that band. So not promising anything, but maybe.
I mean, it was something that was very instrumental, prior pandemic, during pandemic, they still advocate that to the transit riders. There's a group in Detroit called Detroit People's Platform. One of my fellow organizers, his name is Renard Manzinski, and he can confirm and attest to the work that we've done, that I've done, and I still do, though I'm here. I mean, they missed me, but I told them, I said, I got to spread the love somewhere else.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
I have to spread that love, but at the same time, you know, it gets people advocated and organized and being an advocate for themselves.
Right,
To
right.
self, you know, look within and do what you can do to help you guys. And trust me, you'll have people falling out in the hallway if.
Right.
But then these meetings are posted on the bus. There's a QR code. I don't know if that's something you guys would want to, you know, adopt or try it out, see if
Yeah,
it works.
we've talked about,
You know,
being able to advertise on the bus or
Right.
something. So, yeah, so we'll keep the conversation going. I'm gonna move us on.
Is it okay to ask questions? Thank you.
Oh, I'm open book. You can ask away.
I guess we don't have a lot of time, but
Yeah.
thank you for this presentation. This commission itself, one of the question I have is, I guess, how difficult is it for you to get to the bus stop? I mean, do you have access and sidewalks or?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Safely?
fortunately where I live, the bus stop is accessible. I can walk to it. It's a little rocky sometimes as far as hill up, you know, incline up, you know, it depends if you're a person. I haven't graduated yet to a wheelchair. I never want to be, but if someone with a wheelchair, that's got to be kind of tricky trying to maneuver a ramp, a hill or something like that. And the bus stop may or may not be user friendly. The lighting it may be a problem. There's 24-hour service where, let's say, you can call the commission or someone, there's an issue, a bus not showing up. I mean, it's so right there. I'm not saying it's great everywhere, but in the city of Detroit, we've got it where they time the bus, if the bus is missing, you report it out to the mayor, you report it out to the Department of Transportation, and then you involve the riders as well, so they can be a part of the change and what's going on, because if they don't know, they don't know. And I never assume that someone knows, because though I'm 56 and I'm techy enough, there's probably a 56-year-old out there that just does not, it probably still has a landline, so we just have to.
You're not 56.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for your comments, Jacqueline. And this is I think it's a great time to like have a transit here later. This is a good first meeting for that. So I'll go ahead and move us on to the full agenda. Yeah, so today we have a lot to cover. We'll get a T-SPOS 2026 update. Going to put Daniel and Randy on the spot for a minute. We will go through our annual report for 2024 and our work plan. We're going to talk about the next stage of our plan revision updates. So have a lengthy presentation there, and then we'll do staff updates. And again, like, we'll welcome transit for, you know, some version of that today. Any additions or changes to our minutes? I think it started a little late, but that's okay.
The agenda or minutes?
I mean, our agenda, thank you.
Can you just add in like a 5-minute update from transit?
It's in there.
Cool.
Yeah, so compared to the draft that you guys got,
Not the one published online. Can we vote on that?
yes, well, we're gonna vote on. Yeah, okay. I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda. All right, second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next up is our January minutes. You Blaine, these are on the drive. So I didn't get a chance to link them in the document, but they are on the drive. Any edits to our minutes, any corrections? Right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve our minutes from January. Thank you, Randy. I was like, controversial with that. Second from Art, all those in favor? Aye. Okay. Great. Next up on the agenda, I just have a quick note that I will miss our March meeting. I have a work conflict. So Teresa will be at the helm leading our meeting. So it should be a lot more fun than usual. And Teresa, I will
Try to stay focused.
help you get the agenda together and all that good stuff.
Keep up with that.
Yes, thank you for stepping in.
No problem.
Great. Next up, general updates, T-Splost 2026. There is a committee and presentations are underway. So I think I have set aside 10 minutes to chat about that because Daniel gave presentations yesterday and Randy is on the committee. So he has an insider's point of view. Who wants to go first? Randy, you want to take it away? What do you
Sure.
like? How's it going?
Sure. Well, I mean, so far, it's an interesting mix of individuals. It started off a little contentious in that, the budget is around 200 million or so. 140 million of that has already been allocated by the mayor and commission to particular projects. So there's a ballpark of 60 million left for 71 projects.
So the committee was miffed by that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anyone agreed with any of the choices they made, the mayor and commission, that list of items that are on there.
So it's just on principle?
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the chosen items, it was just they wanted more money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Or you all do, I don't know.
and that it would be, a pretty big challenge to look at 71 projects with $60 million. But as you said, you started the presentations last night. Several of the people from Transportation Public Works. Unfortunately, a couple of them having to spend their time at night coming out asking for money that probably should be in the budget to start with. But other than that, great presentations, and this is really going to be tough. Very, very tough trying to determine where that money is going to be spent.
We're, do you have your schedule? Are you, like, how far out are you listening to presentations? Is it like once a week until?
But it's once a week so last night was 6, and that's what we're going to try and run, maybe 6 or 7 a night.
Get 70 projects.
Yeah, so we're looking at 10 weeks.
Okay, so March, April through May, trying to finish before Memorial Day or something.
Around there.
Did they give y'all any sort of like context or overview of the T-Splost program or any like transportation 101 kind of information?
Oh, we did it, the first 2 meetings were just training, essentially. So how does the process work? How do we vote? What are the goals and objectives of this process? It was pretty good. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt informed?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it helped I came in with fairly decent knowledge. But,
Yeah.
but there were other individuals. Actually, I think there's only one person who served on a previous T-Splost. So, it was all newcomers and they all seemed to be pretty comfortable after the second training.
Did did y'all do, any sort of vote where you have to attend a certain number of presentations to be able to participate in voting at the end?
I don't think there was, no. Not to say that, if you miss 2 meetings, you cannot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Just another question. Does anyone else have questions for Randy while I remember this other question? Oh. Are they feeding you?
Indeed, they are.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well,
We picked the wrong one.
we picked the wrong one.
Yeah, all 3. I thought it was just gonna be for the 2 trainings, but even last night.
They feed you.
Chick-fil-A last. Yeah.
I can't remember my other question. Daniel, do you have any, since you actually gave a presentation?
They are very specific on the time.
Okay.
So make sure you got it at exact amount. I think it's 10 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes for questions. And I got halfway through an answer on a question when they cut me off for answering. So
I can't believe you would run along.
There were a lot of questions, though. I would defend Daniel. There were a lot.
There were.
The participation is very good, so.
Yeah.
Very good. It's good.
Have they mentioned anything about alternate projects?
They asked me on one of mine if a lesser amount would work for, I think it was the safe routes.
So then there was a general question that Stephen
At the end of
answered.
the night. Yeah, at the
Yeah.
end of the night, they asked, if we had to prioritize the 6 projects that we presented, how would we do that? And I said, really, we'd prefer that each of them be partially funded instead of prioritizing one over the other, just to get our foot in the door with each of them.
Because I've been running under the assumption that the committee would have the option to hear alternate projects. As far as we know, is that true then?
It is true. There was some discussion around that as to whether they should be asked for upfront, or maybe as we get through the presentations and at a later time we figure out, oh, this isn't going to work. Please come back. We didn't want, the general consensus was they didn't want that amount of extra work for individuals that may not even come to fruition. So let's wait until some sense of before asking for, a reduced
Okay. I
money.
think I remembered my other question. If committee members have additional questions, do you guys have any send those along?
Yeah.
Any other comments? Stephen, did you have any other insight you thought would be useful? Lost?
One thing that I should have just remembered is try not to use acronyms, or if you do, remind them what they mean at the beginning. We are not all starting at that same vocabulary, so it's just a good reminder in general.
Thank you. That's sage advice. Yeah. So no one, please say RRFB. No one knows what that means. It is blinky flashies.
Well, it would help is if you put them out there, at least get a person an understanding of what it means. I like that, but I need to know what it means behind it.
Right.
I need to
Yeah.
know why. It's only fair to the person, to the unknown.
I spent the first year of my membership on this commission, basically asking for access.
It may be worth having a slide that just is like a glossary for terms, and you can just have that in your presentation.
Yeah. Or like just avoid alphabet soup is what.
Yeah.
So we do get copies of all the presentations prior to the meeting.
Oh, like printouts of them?
Yeah. So it would be, if you could put a glossary in there, that would be.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. As a private citizen who submitted a couple of T-Splost project requests, when will we get the staff feedback on what we sent over, because I know that my numbers were probably way off base.
That I do know.
My understanding from talking with someone in the SPOS office is, they're scheduling them in the order that they get staff review back. So as soon as like they get the staff review, they're trying to schedule. It's my understanding. And it may come back pretty quickly. It may be something like you hear from a staff member on Wednesday, your presentation is due the following Wednesday, and then your actual presentation could be like the following Monday. Something. I'm not with the SPOS. I was not speaking officially. That was, I don't know what it is.
The answer is that they haven't done them all.
Waiting, I think staff review.
Yeah.
And it depends on that, you know. Yeah, so be prepared if anyone else has submitted projects. We're Athens-Clarke, we're gonna be prepared. I'll go ahead and tell you that we did have a presentation, some presentations due tomorrow. I begged because we have our meeting today, so and it seems like they were able to do some trade-offs, so appreciate the SPOS office there. I don't know if they're going to be able to grant that flexibility all the time. They have a lot to schedule, but
So are we going on Monday, or is that like,
yeah, we're not
we
going to
don't know when dates?
Right, so there'll be a time to hustle email coming forward. And yeah. All right, so we're moving on to our annual meeting. This is a meeting that we usually do November, but we were in the thick of TFOS presentation submissions and just ran out of time. So this is our report. You all should have a link to it. And I'm going to go through it kind of quickly. This report is a little different this year in that it includes major project updates, or that I have to work with TPW staff and Transportation Public Works staff and the SPOS office to get some updates in. But first, just says who we are, and what our major duties and responsibilities are. This is a little bit of 101 because, you know, we tend to have like new commissioners online. We do have at least one new commissioner who got sworn in January, and that's Commissioner Johnson. And noting that Alan's term was renewed and Gabriella joined us. And then we welcomed Katie last year at the beginning of the year. So you're coming up on about your 1 year anniversary, I think. Yeah, so it's been a year. Glad to have you, Katie, as our Vision Zero coordinator. And then Craig, who was with us from the beginning, his term expired, and we thank him for his service. We continue to have 2 active committees, education outreach, or education and communications, I think is what I really need, so I'm going to correct that. And policy and projects, and we do our ad hoc committees such as plan revision or TSPLOS, project selection. We are in the corridor committees. So this next part is new to our report, and it is project status on some major Athens in Motion projects. I want to thank staff for getting back to me. There's kind of like a brief overview on each project, and then in the appendix, there's much more detailed information, such as like, you know, kind of go to the back here, like, you know, when right-of-way acquisition started, construction starts. So it's a little bit of that in the weeds stuff, which you all might be interested in, Mayor Commission might be interested in, but it's also a little bit jargon heavy in there, but I did want to include that because there's some great information in there. Also, I really appreciated the notes from staff, from Derek Mason, about like some of the complexities with these projects, because, you know, we just kind of tend to vote and we're like, what's going on? But just as with any transportation project, whether we're talking about bike lanes or a multi-use path, it involves more than just the infrastructure we're trying to add. It involves utilities, sewer, gas line, the railroad, and then also what happens when UGA buys a railroad and you don't know if you are still working with a railroad. So it's things like that add time. So I think that's useful to have that information there. So you all can take a look at this. And Jason and I were just talking about the West Broad Street collaboration with GDOT, which from last year, we voted to put some T-SPLOS money from a project that we submitted towards a multi-use path and some lighting. So that's a shared project. They're in the process of assigning project manager there. Some of our projects are managed by the SPLOST office because there's so much going on. If at some point we decide it would be useful to bring them on, or I should say, not we, I mean, Transportation, Public Works, and Mayor and Commission approved that, I believe. So that includes Barber Street. There's a lot of coordination going on with the railroad there, Prince Avenue. And then I haven't received an official update on Lexington Road, the Maltese path or the sidewalks.
Sidewalks are in an engineering review. I think engineering only review. And there was a parcel where it was developed after our design was started, and the developer built their own sidewalks. And so we had to alter our plans to accommodate that new alignment. I have not heard anything on the Maltese path.
So that's the information I have on projects. There's a lot more than that going on. And it's hard to decide what to include in here because there's many other projects that are in the Athens in Motion plan, but we didn't initiate. We didn't actually initiate even Prince Avenue. That was the corridor. So this is not everything bike and pedestrian related going on in here. Just kind of like mainly stuff that we have been able to vote on. So thank you for being along for the ride on which ones do I include in this? And I did not include North Avenue because I think that there's still a lot staff's trying to figure out with regard to that.
Do you believe there was a letter that was released recently? Stephen, has that letter gone out?
It has to commissioners, and I haven't heard any feedback yet.
So that is probably publicly available.
So, yeah, maybe I'll just include a note. Letter has gone out to mayor and commission.
It's the PIOH response letter.
Public, oh, yes. And I did, I saw the response letter too. Seen it. Public information,
Open house.
open house letter sent out. And so what that is, a summary of public comments on North Avenue.
I think,
And-
Daniel, I think there's a link on our site, our website too, right?
Probably. Not sure. What are we asking? Link to the letter?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find. I'll put it in the chat if I can find it.
Yes, there's a link on our website.
Is the next step then an official response from mayor and commission, or is it just like acknowledgement of receipt?
So I know as part of the CDO, Commission Defined Option, we were to come back in May. Stephen, does this letter accomplish what they were wanting to know?
No, this is more just about the PIOH standards. They'd like us to come back and talk about the feasibility of the CDO. The timeline, Ronnie might be able to speak a little bit more to the timeline. I think it was May at the latest, would probably be there sooner than that.
Feasibility of CDO.
Commission defined option.
Oh, yes, thank you.
There's an acronym, yeah.
Yeah, love.
Fine. Option of
So-
next question.
Recommend something and the commissioners themselves go, no, we want to do this.
Yeah. Or commissioners like to put on their engineer hats? Okay. Before I move on to general Athens in motion activities, any other questions or comments about projects?
The Timothy Road multi-use path is a T-splost that be included somewhere.
I think that we didn't include this because we didn't initiate it. And we have not, and actually Melissa Link brought this up, I think, is that Athens in motion was not asked to weigh in on that. So I also didn't include Vincent Drive. So it's like, yeah,
That makes sense. I mean, I think the ones that we have our fingers on, we should include.
so thanks for that, because it is a little bit like. All right, our general activities. Teresa, you said you felt we handed out hundreds of reflective vests and not thousands.
Yeah, I felt like hundreds probably better.
Did we buy
Because
like?
thousands are made of hundreds, you know?
Okay,
And we haven't done an inventory, so I don't know exactly what that number is. We've given out hundreds. That's reflective vests, the lights,
yes.
and, pardon me?
Which, I have talked to somebody at Transit. It might be cool to hand out vests like on the buses and stuff.
Wow.
Some of the other things, there's a lot of merch that we just have kind of sitting in the closet right now. So
How would we do that?
coordinate with Tina or Jeremy.
Okay.
The planners, and we could see what could be done.
Or just let me know and then I can help and get on the bus.
Yep.
You know, just
Yes.
do the thing and you're gonna ride from end to end.
Um, Something else, we began receiving crash reports from Katie Goodrum, our Vision Zero coordinator, which I think is great in surfacing issues with the roads. And underscoring the fact that people don't have to die, don't have to be injured. We can fix our roads. So thank you, Katie, for that, getting that started. We appreciated that. Yes. So committees and activities, if there's anything I've left off, let's go ahead and add it, because there might be there's so much you guys do. So I know we developed the criteria to define a sidewalk gap in policy and projects. And then there was the bike rack survey, and you started putting together a program to delegate, or just to get those out, which we gave a presentation on last month. Education and communications, y'all tabled at Marigold, and I guess we surplus joined, and Whit Davis. Any other tabling?
I was looking through my notes. See any?
Okay, yeah, I think that's kind of
Because
what
we didn't do the UGA.
safety day,
safety.
right? And Marigold Festival was like, I think, our longest tabling event we've ever done. It was like, Julie was there before 7 a.m. She might have been there at like 6 a.m. It was like a 6 to 5 kind of thing. And there was a ton of people, so I think that kind of took care of our spring tabling. And then we were gonna do Family Day, but that didn't happen last spring.
Oh, wait. What about the sheriff's thing? Is that somewhere else?
It
Streets
is,
for all? Okay.
Yeah, did you have an actual table there, or were you just?
No, I was just support handing out vests and stuff.
Thank you, okay. Yeah, I have that noted, I kind of put it separately.
Yeah.
We also, we did a 2-year anniversary video celebrating the success of the Prince Avenue project. So that showed people using the bike lanes on 2 hours on a random Wednesday morning. And I did not know those people. Anything else I'm missing as far as activities go?
Oh, what about the Greenway ribbon cutting? Wasn't that-
I think I put that,
You've got that, and I took the liberty of editing it because I was there too.
great.
But we should probably edit it more, and I'll be happy to do so, to indicate that it was the Carrs Creek Extension opening, not a Greenway, not the Greenway. per se.
Right,
Okay, yes, we can, yeah, let's get in there. We'll come back to that in just a moment.
I didn't know what, so I just called it Greenway.
Yeah, Carrs Creek Extension.
Yes, okay, so we had the ad hoc committees, but mainly we'd spent a lot of time doing the T-SPOS 2026 project development, so that's where a lot of our time went last year, is deciding what projects to submit for consideration. As far as our votes and recommendations go, we recommended funding for the Cherokee Road multi-use path construction. We recommended a supplement for a Lexington Road sidewalk gap to be a multi-use path. We recommended a four-lane solution for North Avenue. We produced a letter of support for West Broad Street, Lynn Highway GDOT. Oh my God, sorry, this is such alphabet soup. For Georgia Department of Transportation's and the Athens-Clarke County Safety Improvements Collaboration. And that funding again comes from a project that we submitted for T-SPOS 2023. So I'm so happy that we did that money was available. Good job, everybody. And we also, I think that this were the last letters we did. We did some letters of support for our application for money for Oglethorpe Avenue and Hawthorne for fiscal year 2025.
Was the sidewalk gap out there near Jefferson River Road between the park and everything, was that part of the small projects? Or was that something we recommended separately?
The sidewalk gap that I'm talking about for here is for Lexington.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one, I can't remember the name of that road.
Vincent.
Yeah,
Vincent?
Vincent, right.
Yeah, I didn't put that on here because I wasn't sure how to say like, we talked about Vincent and Cherokee at the same time, right? And it was basically like, well, we can either do one or the other, and Cherokee is further along than Vincent. So
Like, we ought to include, we spend a lot of time on Vincent and just say that we considered a request
Yes.
for additional funds for Vincent. I did that.
Center, Vincent Drive, supplements,
We must make this long.
chose Cherokee due to
Sure.
Due to it being having 85% plans, I guess.
What this is Ronnie. What
Ronnie.
was stated is that Cherokee was in the originally approved 5 projects, 5 pedestrian projects from Mayor and Commission.
Right.
That was the message kind of said inside. Yes, I mean, definitely you guys contemplated funding for Vincent, but Cherokee stood out, I believe, because of that. So I don't know, but I don't want to put words in your report here, but that's my recollection, if that helps.
Yes, and that, yeah, due to, and that's why it was further along anyway. That's why it was like at 85% plans, I think, is because it was part of those starter pack. Motion starter pack. M and C selected, voted. Thank you, Ronnie. Okay. I think those are all our votes and recommendations. We also had several of y'all attend various events and provide some support for Athens and Transportation Public Works. So Teresa attended the Sheriff's Office Fall Festival to get public input for Safe Streets for All. And Ed and Teresa attended the Cars Creek Extension ribbon cutting in April. Teresa, you attended the Talk Transit at the library in May. And then Teresa and I, and was anyone else there at the North Avenue Public Input event? Okay, Alan, thank you. Randy, did I miss anything you were in? I feel like you were in.
Yeah, actually, I think I was at the Greenway,
Okay.
Birch Creek, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which one that was.
Yeah.
You were there.
I have a question. This may have happened in 23, but the mayor had a public meeting at the library to talk about safety concerns.
Yes, that was last.
So that was, okay.
No,
Wasn't sure.
anything else?
Not an Oxford comma fan. Jumps out at me.
Yeah, so. Ed, if I scroll past here and you end up putting in a comma, I won't notice.
I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna be that guy.
Yeah, you can, that's fine. It's
Are you gonna put bullets at the, or periods at the end of all the bullets?
I
it's consistent.
decided that it looks beautiful the way it is.
Consistency is all that matters.
All right, and finally, our work plan for 2025. I have already teased some of this to the mayor and commission with our T-SPOS submissions. I wanted them to let them know, and we all decided like we wanted to give them a heads up on what we were submitting. So again, those are corridor projects, tier 1 high priority, and then small programs. So just to remind everyone, our work plan is not necessarily everything we're going to do in 2025, like not every place we're going to table or anything like that. It's mainly things that could come before the mayor and commission as a vote. And so we want to give them a heads up. So this is typically policy changes or things like T-SPOS project submissions. And even though we're not the ones in charge of Safe Streets for All, or not exactly in charge of the plan revision, I did want to include that because it seemed like it made sense to have those in there, to let mayor and commission know they might be voting on those things at the end of the year. Does anyone know of anything else that could come before the mayor and commission this year? I think that I would know about, but I just want to double check. Okay.
Is there something for them? I would say, I mean, just my personal opinion, a kicker card with all the commissioners' information on it, email their,
Yeah, and this is just our work
yeah.
that we're
Something to keep the, the riders, especially on the bus, they can call them with their ask or something, get them into.
yeah, and I don't know, I think transit has several, no pun intended, vehicles for providing feedback, and maybe we'll hear about some of those, the update more. Anything, and then we have the appendix with more detailed information about projects, but anything else to add to our annual report?
Good.
Right. Thank you all. That I will entertain a motion to approve both our annual report for 2024 and our work plan for 2025.
So move.
Second.
Second, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Check. Now more about T-SPOS presentations. All right. I lost my agenda. Okay. Next up, and we're only 2 minutes behind schedule for 30 minutes until 5:20. Plan revision. Timeline, next steps, and yes.
Everybody, it's nice to see you all.
Hillary, whoa,
Hi, Hillary.
look who it is. It's our first bike pedestrian safety coordinator. Yes. Good to see you, Hillary.
It's good to see all of you, all the faces I know, all the new faces. It's really exciting to see your report. I'm so proud of all of you. So I'm now with Tool Design. I'm here to talk about the Athens in Motion plan update. And I have a presentation that we'll go over. All right. All right, so today's agenda, I'm going to introduce you to our tool design project team. We're kind of going to review some of these scope items from our what we'll be doing as part of this update. And then the most important part today will probably be talking about the Athens in Motion workshop that we're going to try to schedule with you all to really kick off this process. And so the project team, I will be project managing this along with Henry Cohen. He could not be here today, but I'm actually going to be going on family leave on Friday. So he will be starting you all off and doing great work. And then I will be coming back in July to help him finish this. Byron Rushing is a senior planner in our Atlanta office. He used to work for the Atlanta Regional Commission. He was the bike coordinator there, so he's a great asset to our team. Elizabeth Shin is going to be our transportation engineer. She's based in our Atlanta office as well. She used to work for City of Roswell. She's amazing. And then you all know Jared pretty well. He's our principal in charge, so he's who I will go to for any and all questions. He helped me a lot when I was the bike ped coordinator in Athens. So it's a well-rounded team. On the call today, we have Connor Lake. He is a planner 1, so he'll kind of also be involved in this process throughout the whole plan revision update. Just kind of review, because I know it's been a little bit since we started this process, just kind of what we're going to do as part of the update. And so the engagement in AIM Commission meetings, one of the most important things is that we're not, as of the current scope, we're not going to do like a full engagement effort. We're going to spend a lot of time reviewing on all of the amazing projects and plans that you've been working on for the last several years, taking all that engagement and reviewing it. This is to avoid some engagement fatigue, going back to the same communities over and over again, asking the same questions. Instead, collecting all of the information that you've already done, reviewing it, seeing if there are any gaps, are there any themes, all of that kind of information. This is a list that Daniel very kindly provided us that will be reviewing the engagement efforts, the surveys, all of that as part of the update.
Great.
So we will be meeting with you all 4 times. The first meeting we're combining as the workshop. And that, you know, I think March is a little bit maybe hopeful. I feel like April might be a little bit more realistic of when that workshop would kick off. But that's one of the questions we have for you today, is we could do it sooner with less information from the safety action plan process, or we could do it later with more information from the safety action plan process. And I can talk about some of the data that we'd be able to look at now versus later. And then meeting 3 and 4, kind of the overview of recommendations, and then meeting 4, the draft plan review. So the network mapping is really looking at existing conditions mapping. So it's looking at the level of traffic stress from the safety action plan, the high injury network from the safety action plan. The roadway space analysis is something we're all really excited to look at. It's looking at your roads with the existing pavement width, right of way, sidewalks, whatever information that we have, so that we can kind of start thinking about, okay, what has excess width? What does excess width mean? How many lanes does this road need? And that'll be a really interesting component to this plan that we can bring, because the capital improvement process takes the time that it takes, as we all know. But this kind of roadway space analysis can allow us to look at quick build opportunities like Prince Avenue. Network development, you know, prioritization methodology, and then receiving that capital project list. For our strategies and recommendations, we'll look at policy changes, technical standard recommendations, lots of phasing, performance measures, how do we measure those items? That's all part of our scope to look at with this update. The project delivery toolkit, I know this is something Daniel's really excited about. We're excited to do as well. This is going to be, how do we do quick builds? How do we do spot treatments with gap programs? How do we deliver these projects in different ways, whether that's a quick build, whether that's a capital project? What are the different avenues that we have? Restriping, because that's something we do every single year. And so are there opportunities as these restriping programs go down the line to do lane reductions, lane removals, you know, all of those things that we were discussing with that pavement analysis. And then finally, we'll have a draft and final plan report for you all. And so I want to spend most of the time talking about the workshop, because I think this is the really next item, big item for us to work on with all of you. And so the current idea for it is to have a 2-day workshop. We really want this to be interactive, kind of conference style. I know that you are all a body of volunteers. I want you to be able to prioritize your time with the different type of sessions that we have. So if you can come to all of them, then amazing. but there's 2 or 3 that you're really excited about that you want to come to, want to make sure that that's available to you. This would include planning, engineering, and design staff, both from Tool, and hopefully pull in some ACC staff as well. And so session 1 would really be about the goals and measures of success. And these are the questions we'd want to ask in the workshop and come out with answers for this update. So talking about what has been successful of the previous goals, what has been challenging. I know there's been a lot of different challenges. And then what has been or is still missing from the goals. I know adding safety was a really important component that you guys have all accomplished. Public engagement so far. This will be really important in our public engagement review. What have we learned for previous engagement efforts? Who have we not heard as much from? That'll be really important to identify if we're going to do any additional engagement. And then how should the updated goals and measures of success shape engagement for this update? Building a connected network. This one's I won't spoil what the activity is because it's really important for you to come with an organic mindset of this activity. But you know, what does your dream bicycle network look like? Everyone has a different idea of what that looks like, and applying that over a county map is really interesting. What would this network achieve for Athens? You know, who's going to use it? Who are we prioritizing using it? And that would kind of be that third session. And Byron is really who I imagine kind of being the master, I call him the master of ceremonies. He's great at running workshops and really engaging in thoughtful conversation around these topics. And prioritization, I know this is a big topic when I was there. What is prioritization? What is it not? How do certain projects rise in importance over others? And how do our goals and measure of success overlay that and applying it? I also think this is a great place to discuss what is our toolkit when we have our prioritized projects, but it doesn't match what someone else thinks should be a prioritized project. And I know that's always a push and a pull when it comes to prioritization, because not everything can be number one. So what is that toolkit of discussion and what does that look like? And so the bikeway design charrette. So this would kind of be, as we've talked about it, would be a full second day. And this is really where we take that repurpose excess roadway space and we ask you all to be the designers. And so this could really be focused either just on you all. We could also have 3 sessions throughout the day where it's the Athens in Motion Commission. We do one with Athens-Clarke County staff, and we can do one with even mayor and commission.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, on mayor and commission.
And then so the focus would kind of be breaking out those groups. So one getting like, you know, whether it's, you know, an hour and a half first part of the morning, hour and a half the second part of the morning, hour and a half in the afternoon. But I think what's a really important component of this is at the end of the day, almost having a happy hour pinup wrap up where everyone comes back together and you can discuss with all the different groups why you designed the roadway you did. What was your thought process? And I think this would be a really fun, interactive way to have thoughtful communication with people, and also an educational moment talking about like, what is roadway width and what does it mean? What do lanes mean? Why do we need lanes? All of those kind of discussions. So yeah, repeating this with multiple groups is an option, and then having that evening pin up. And that's something that we would love to have your feedback on, you know, who gets invited to which sessions. And these are where we get to the questions for you all. So the first question, and let me know if there's any questions about what I presented. I know I kind of blasted through it a little bit, but I really wanted to get to where you all ask me questions or have a discussion about these questions for you.
I have a question, Hillary. Thanks for the presentation. How do you define excess roadway space, or who defines it?
So that's a great question. That'll be part of the process of actually the work sessions for the workshop, right? So that would be looking at, so say you have a 40 feet, or I guess I'll give an example from a 40 feet of pavement and you have 2 lanes, right? So that's 20 feet of lane width for per lane, which is pretty excessively wide, even by a Georgia Department of Transportation standard. So standard lane widths are, you know, GDOT likes 11 feet. You can get 10 feet in really nice dense urban corridors. And so what do you do with that extra space? Do you just narrow the lanes? Do you add bicycle facilities? Do you add a pop-up walking lane? You know, that's kind of the discussions that you can have around what is excess pavement width. And also obviously the land use context will feed a lot into that as well. So those are all the kind of discussions we can have at the workshop.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Hillary.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so then, so with the 2-day workshop, that's when we would have ourselves attend and potentially ACC staff and potentially Mayor and Commission.
Yeah, and we can kind of discuss whether all the workshop sessions are open to Mayor and Commission and staff, or is there something in particular that you only want the Athens in Motion commissioners want to be involved with? Those are all kind of the group makeup decisions that we can talk about.
Yeah, have some thoughts. Sure.
And so the first question that we really have for you all is, what days would you want to meet as we start planning out dates for the workshop? Due to knowing that these would be full days, due to weekdays work, Friday and Saturday, or a Saturday and Sunday? What kind of works best for y'all's schedule?
Teresa's down for anything. I'm almost inclined to kind of split the difference with staff and sort of like do Friday, Saturday kind of thing. So that way you get, you know, one day where those of us who have to work kind of have to make the sacrifice. And then one day where it's like, okay, staff have to work on a Saturday. And yeah, that's my initial thought.
These have to be adjacent days.
I think that's what we're trying to go for, trying to knock out a lot.
Concentrate focus.
I can't promise making a weekday. I can try, but my future employment situation might not allow that. So, but I get to split the difference thing.
I have no Saturday and very few Sunday availability through spring.
Sure.
Hillary, I had a question. Is there going to be time for local advocates who aren't necessarily on the commission?
That is a great question for the commission. I would love to hear what they think about the makeup of these groups, because it's really, you know, their update, and I can see the value in obviously having advocates in the room.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Scott's an honorary member of the Athens in Motion Commission, whether he wants to be or not.
Well, I'm going to put it depends on what are we calling advocates? Are we calling people that live off Prince Avenue advocates, which I think is kind of askew for one specific neighborhood versus like Athens, which is more universal advocate.
Yes, I think what we're imagining is collective invitation, you know, to certain people who are outside of ACC staff, because we'll have more public engagement for the general public coming up further along, right? Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, who is comfortable with getting in the weeds, right, Hillary? That's the kind of thing that we're thinking about. Like, we don't want to overwhelm people, and even like Mayor and Commission might be a little bit much, but we absolutely need to include them. We really want them to show up and want to document that they have the opportunity to participate in this process.
sort of window are we talking about? I mean, how late can we schedule it? Or, I mean, I mean, like, this is not a year from now, but I mean, like, are we talking the end of spring or?
Yeah, so
spring?
Hillary, you were thinking like March, which would be a little bit too soon, or April?
Yeah, I think it depends. So April or May is probably far more realistic just based off of, depending, because a lot of what we'll cover relies on the items from the safety action plan, and we are coordinating with AECom to receive those items and make those maps that would be useful for the workshop. For this, roadway space analysis, we could do, there's really two routes if, the pavement widths and things like that aren't ready yet. We can do some generalized roads. It's really more of a value exercise than it is saying, we're going to do this with this specific road. It's really about understanding, if we have 40 feet of pavement width, what do we want to do with it? If that 40 feet of pavement width is next to a school, we want to do X. If that 40 feet of pavement width is in a really rural area, not near any schools, when the land use context is completely different, we want to do X. So that's kind of, it just depends on what specific information we'd like to cover.
Transit development plan is underway, receiving public input, and I can't remember when that cutoff is.
I think it's March
March 10th.
March 5th or 6th.
Okay.
This is Randy Brown with Transit. I'm the assistant director. The date cutoff date's March 4th.
Okay.
We're all wrong.
Yeah.
So,
thank you for bringing it up. We highly encourage everyone to comment. It's very, very important that we demonstrate robust public engagement. So thank you for your help with that.
is there any chance that we will have like preliminary results or something from that to potentially include?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, will the data be put together enough in, say, April for us to work with? Jason's nodding his head.
It is the plan for Tool to be compiling all the data from all those various public engagement activities, from whether it's transit, planning, our department, leisure services, that have done any kind of public engagement for any project that could be transportation related or transportation adjacent, where they're receiving public comments and data points that has to do with transportation for this plan.
So it's not, our charrette is not going to be too soon to get that information.
I don't think so. I think the idea is for Tool to be able to have some time to gather all that data, sift through, and be able to present some of that as part of the information. Is that right, Hillary?
Yes, that's the intent. Yeah. So we can compare all the different planning processes you've had over the last several years.
And the way this is set up is that process is the extent of the public engagement that will be informing this Athens in Motion update.
Okay.
There will not be a later public engagement process, due to the idea to avoid survey fatigue,
Right.
and to already use the data that we already have.
I think this is a great idea in terms of efficiency. I think it's going to be thrown back in our face if we don't have.
It's not necessarily the engagement that we're doing. Like, I mean, this is just, instead of going out ahead of time and like doing a really putting $30,000 into public engagement and doing tabling and stuff, we're basically consolidating, compiling all of the input from all the other plans.
Right.
There is the opportunity, once we have like a draft version of the plan, that would then go out in the same way that the transit development plan is currently out for comment, that we could potentially do that. It's not scoped with tools, so that would be an additional cost, but there is a possibility for that.
Okay. So y'all see what I'm trying to avoid, right?
Yes, it's a conversation we've had. We've gone back and forth a lot, and it is trying to balance, like you said, the efficiency with trying to be transparent and collecting that information. So
And maybe this is a conversation that could be included when we bring in mayor and commissioners for the charrette.
yes, and Stephen Bailey, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that part of the conversation with the logistics of involving the mayor and commission with this sort of thing. I know there's procedures with the manager's office and how that would look.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, the basic version of it is we would send an invite through the manager's office to set something up, and it's just to kind of all communication would just go through manager's office and then back and forth that way. So I think what Hillary's listed out so far, there's a way to make that work within the line of communication that they've set up for us. So I think we can make something work.
And as far as April goes, there's an Easter weekend, and then this is not Easter, but Twilight is kind of like, well, no, I mean, Twilight is also that weekend. I mean, that's kind of like a different kind of, it's not really transportation, even though it involves bikes, but that's one weekend that might be down to do stuff on that Saturday, but I don't know if we're trying to bring in other entities who might be booked.
7th through the 11th is also Clark County, spring break.
Oh, right.
April.
Right.
Holidays and whatnot, so you gotta.
That's Twilight. But I mean, we can make that work around that. It's probably, I don't know if Scott can make it work. But, okay, what do we need to decide today? What information do we need to move forward as far as like getting this scheduled? What do you need?
Just whether you want 2 weekdays, Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, because I think we can probably logistically figure out the date between ACC staff and our schedules. And it sounds like somewhere between mid-April to mid-May sounds about right to avoid the spring break, Twilight, and so on.
I will be honest with you, I cannot do May at all. I'm already booked every single weekend. But I mean, I don't necessarily have to be there.
We'll prioritize April and see how logistically that falls with ACC staff.
You do have to be there. I mean, you would be the one person.
Okay. Well, does anyone object to the Friday, Saturday? I mean, I know not everyone can make, but does everyone feel like they could do either something on Friday or something on Saturday, at least for a little bit, one or the other?
So which ones?
Yeah.
There's,
Okay.
I'm going to be out of the country for 2 weeks in April.
Okay.
Yeah, it alters.
All right, Hillary, I think we're leaning towards Friday and Saturday. Starting from there.
That sounds great. So the next question for you all is who's in attendance? So whether this is all just AIM commissioners and ACC staff that are involved in implementation, or a combination of all three with mayor and commission, depending on which session.
Yes, I would like, I think that I'd love to do all three and then selected community members. I definitely want to incorporate the commission or figure out a strategic way to get them here somehow. Even if, picking a weekend and trying to schedule whatever strategic thing we want to be at, like try and work around their schedules. I don't know, that might be a farce because there's 10 of them, but if we send out a survey and like, we really like you to be here, can you fill this out? So that way we've shown that we have made every effort to have them part of this process, at least for like the hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe smaller window like
Like
that.
targeting a
Not trying to get them here for 8 hours.
Yeah, definitely not trying to get them here for 8 hours. But I'd almost like try and choose the weekend, and then the first thing we schedule or try to schedule is the mayor and commissioner's time and figure out what would work for them and then build around that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can definitely make that work. And then the final big question is, we talked about either doing it earlier where we have less consultant work completed, but it sounds like I think for a late April schedule, we should be able to have that public engagement component, which sounds really important for this workshop ready to go. And no matter what, we'll have some version of the roadway space charrette ready to go, whether it's specific roadways in Athens or more of a generalized kind of land use based analysis.
Yes.
All right. those were our questions. Is there anything else that you all wanted to ask me?
Yeah, what is our target for like a presentation to mayor and commission, kind of like at the end of this process? Are we thinking a year from now or like a year and a half?
I would say by the end of the year. It really depends on the coordination with the safety action plan, and Daniel, feel free to correct me.
Yeah, the primary goal for the Athens motion update is going to be like stakeholder buy-in and accuracy of data. So if like basically we are federally obligated to be within a certain timeline on the safety action plan, whereas with the Athens in Motion plan, that is locally funded and there's not a timeline on the funds. So while it'd be great to like have that tomorrow, I want to make sure that all of the results that we have from the safety action plan, that those analyses are able to be brought into the Athens in Motion plan. So I'm willing to kind of delay the Athens in Motion plan. You know, originally the scope was kind of, I think the schedule showed like August. So it's not going to be August. We're going to aim for the end of the year, but ultimately, if things do get delayed, then push that out.
All right, sounds like probably, go ahead.
Can we put a request in for roads for the charrette? I mean, village would be the one that I'd be really interested in, since we've been less that you look.
Yeah, how are you picking roads? Is it based on the data we get?
It was going to be based off, it depends on if we have that data ready, we would do it based off the data we get. But yeah, I mean, we could definitely take requests for roads, you know, under the asterisk that we're not making project design recommendations today, just that we
Well, I
wanted
mean,
to
there's
look
just-
at it holistically.
There are two T-Splosh projects going forward or being proposed for millage, and it's not clear to me, being using millage a lot, what has to happen to make that work for everybody. I would just love to hear current situation, what are the options that we have? But
Let me, maybe clarification on the intention behind the design aspect of it may be useful, because it seems to me like it's kind of visioning more than
Yes.
anything. Okay, so we're not designing.
I'm not saying
I don't
to
think.
design anything. I mean, I'm not sure what this, I mean, if it's just simply that millage has no excess roadway and that we then have to go to some project design, that's fine. But if there are spots of millage that, in your opinion, has excess roadway, be nice to know if there's any like temporary option or cheaper option or something.
I think in general, like there's excess roadway on all roads. Like, you know, you have the center turn lane, for instance, that could be condensed down and turned into a barrier to not allow left turns. Are the cars willing to do that? I don't know. But there's also different sections of millage too. There is a section I know that every time I drive on it, I'm like, I feel like I can just swerve left and right because of how wide it is. I'm like, we can absolutely paint a lane right there.
Like going out to Whitehall. or
Yeah,
something, that's.
but ultimately, you know, I think some of what the intent is, especially with the pavement space, like exercise, if that's what we're discussing, is like, what are some examples of downtown pavement space that is unutilized? What are some examples of a rural roadway? You know, and like a rural road might not have unused space. Like, you know, if they're 12-foot lanes and it's a 24-foot road, then like we really want to look at the shoulder and the ditch lines and, you know, the slopes and stuff like that. And ultimately, yeah, it's kind of big picture visioning. Like, what are some examples of things that you could do in a space like this? So we could use millage as an example, like an in-town high capacity roadway. You know, it is a very unique one, especially if you're talking about the section with all of the greenhouses and stuff, but, yeah, and it changes context like 3 times, so.
Okay.
Does that help? Understand?
Yeah, I just, part of it, I guess, is just clarification about what the goal of that is. And I'm not sure I know, but still, it sounds interesting.
Anything else, Hillary?
And nothing on my end. Those are my 3 questions, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you again, Hillary. Wish you ease with your leave. Look forward to seeing you on the other side of this process. You can check in and see how things are going, and everything's going to be great when you come back on track.
I'm really bummed I'll miss the workshop, but very excited to see the results and how y'all do.
Excited to have professionals on this. So thanks for working on this. Yep.
Got it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Hillary.
Right. We're only 5 minutes behind schedule. So staff updates. This is where we hear kind of general updates from members of staff present. We'll start with park planning and then receive our first check-in hello with transit, and then we'll move on to transportation public works updates. So Todd, hello.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing great. How are you?
Doing good.
Do you see we got the actual we got to stay in here, or we got to stay in the auditorium instead of being in the
I
conference?
see that. I see that. That's nice. Now y'all sound so much better.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
I'm sure it was a clerical error.
Yeah, I can understand everybody. Just quickly, going over the projects that we have. So the Greenway Trail repaving at the Nature Center to the bridge. We had our official opening on February 9th with a 5K, the Frog. They're beginning this week to do a little bit of the final paving, with speed tables and I believe the thermoplastic striping is going in now that the weather's a little bit warmer. So that may spill over a little bit into March, but it should be done. So there may be just a little bit of, caution, equipment that people may have to walk around and everything, but it's pretty much done.
So a question, Todd. I know we're putting lanes and speed tables in, but that roadway is going to be closed except for events at Walker Hall, right?
Correct. It has a gate.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
There. So it'll be closed. It'll have bollards at the bridge end, at the lower end, because we've had a car make its all the way from College Avenue up to the Nature Center gate, and so we've installed some bollards as well to prevent that. So,
Blow that up because it's hard to see.
which one?
Your whole screen. Can you make it bigger?
Can you go into full screen mode, Todd?
Yeah.
On oh wait, that helped. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Daniel,
Can y'all blow it up on y'all's end? It make it.
there's that mode.
Hey, Daniel.
Can you do present mode? It is the little icon towards the bottom of your screen.
Yeah.
It's shaking his thing, but
Oh, I think that's the projector, right? Not shaking.
yeah, it's the air conditioning.
Actually, that was fine.
Oh, thank you. That's beautiful.
Now we
Can you actually see it now?
Yes.
Sorry, it changed windows, and so I can't tell if you're looking at the window with the current slide and the next slide, or the one with the.
We've got the map of the Sandy Creek Nature Center on the top left corner.
Okay, and that's it. Okay, all right. So that's the Greenway project at the Nature Center.
Looks great.
The Firefly Phase 3 tree removal has begun, and trash removal along the first segment, which is from Hancock to Rannick Road. So they're in there working currently on that. So we're still, about a year away from final completion. So anyway, that's that. They're still working on getting the easements from the Kearney Lake area, Oakmont subdivision, folks. So I'll let you know once I hear more about that. The Greenway Trail, Okeechobee Street Bridge, just to make y'all aware, the Georgia Power is starting to mobilize this week to start installing their mats for the heavy equipment so that they can move that existing power pole over and get it out of the way of the bridge, the rebuilding of the bridge. So that's going to mean that basically tomorrow and Thursday, they'll be out installing those mats. And so that trailhead will have some impact those 2 days. And then we are beginning the demo of the granite monolith and the tree Friday. So that, because we can't have that in their power line easement and, you know, under their power lines. And so it'll get shifted and reinstalled sooner than later, but we haven't got a timeline on when that will be installed. I don't think we're going to leave it till the trail project's done, because that's several years out. So we will rebuild our signs and plant our tree and all once Georgia Power kind of gets their lines where they need to be and that kind of stuff. So, and this is at Okeechobee Street, Easley Mill. And then today we had the kickoff meeting for design with GDOT on the MLK trail from North Avenue to basically First Street East. What is that? That's Broad, East Broad.
Yeah.
And so we had our initial kickoff meeting today to go over that with GDOT. So that's in design process, and I will get schedule of when that's going to be and kind of give y'all timelines as they give it to us. So we're trying to set up our monthly meeting on that. So at that point, I'll really know a lot more information. So that's basically the projects right now.
Nice.
Todd, is that a project that I'm still lived in on, or was I just there for the selection committee?
Speak to Ronnie.
Okay.
So he was on the meeting today, so I don't know. Yes, I don't know.
Ronnie, are you still on the call?
So what now?
I was asking if Ronnie was still on the call.
Yeah.
Trying to get work or get out of work?
Selectively. Both.
So yes.
Cool.
Thank you, Todd.
Yes, and I'll stop sharing.
I don't expect transit to have like presentation to Todd's level. I also don't. But if you guys have anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, Daniel, next time we will come prepared and we will get competitive. I don't want Todd to be the only one with a great presentation, but thank you, Todd. That was fantastic. I'm excited to see about all the work you've got going on. In the wonderful world of transit, we are, as mentioned already, working through the final stages of our transit development plan, which will guide investments for the next 5 years in Athens. The feedback we have received from the community overwhelmingly is that the public wants more frequent routes, shocking, more direct service, also shocking, and a greater span of service. So they want the bus to arrive earlier in the morning, later in the evening. So what does that mean for everyone in the room? It's set to go for mayor commission approval in April. Once that green light has been given to us, my wonderful planning team, of which I have 2 planners that are sitting in on the background of the call listening as well. They're new. I will empower them to execute some service changes. So we anticipate the first service change to happen in the summer. So a target date of sometime around June, followed by another service change with a target date sometime around the fall. So it really just depends on a lot of factors. One of the factors that has really hampered transit service, hampered, we'll go with either of those, over the last couple of years has been an operator shortage. It's been my number one focus since I joined the team about 6 months ago. We have made some headway. For those of you who speak transit, that's a transit pun. So we've made significant headway with narrowing the gap. So when I first started in August, the vacancy rate for bus operators was about approximately 35%. Today we're hovering at under 5%. So that's fantastic news. What that has meant for the public is that in January, we reinstated some previously suspended service due to the operator shortage. For those of you familiar with Route 27, that's our Barnett Shoals route that goes out to the Walmart on Lexington Road. That route increased from hourly headways to half-hourly headways, meaning that you wait half as long to get to the bus.
Yes.
Yep, which is fantastic. We're thrilled about that. The response was overwhelmingly overwhelmingly positive. And it's been a week, it's been a month. But so then yesterday, we just reinstated 2 more suspended services that we had. So there's an additional Route 5. So that bus now comes approximately every 35 minutes. Unfortunately, just due to the length of the route, it had been running every 75 minutes, which, I mean, just imagine me taking your car keys away for 75 minutes, as a side note. But now it comes approximately every 35 with a second bus. The planning staff have been marvelously executing a update to our CAD AVL system. For you, those of you that don't know what that means, which I imagine is most of us in the room, that stands for Computer Aided Dispatch Automatic Vehicle Locator. There's not a quiz. I don't expect you to remember that, but basically think of it as the brains on the bus. So tracking where the bus is in real time, tracking our data. With the upgrade comes new reporting functionality, so we're able to see more on demand, or not on demand. I'm trying to think of a better word here. If I'd put together a PowerPoint as good as Todd, I would have had time to think of a better for it. But
on the fly,
more responsive, more real time. That's
There
the
you
word.
go. That's the word I was looking for.
That's exactly the word. That's exactly it. Yeah. So more real time data analysis. So the planners now can see when a bus comes early immediately, when it comes late. They can look at that data in aggregate over the span of whatever time they define it as. So we can really begin to dive into responding more to the issues that need immediate resolution, and then using that data longer term to better plan out changes that we hope to roll out to the public, as I mentioned, in June, and then again this fall. So that's about all I've got to share at this point. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has them. Otherwise, thanks for having me. Look forward to attending these meetings moving forward, and expect a really cool PowerPoint next time.
I have a question.
I got sure.
Okay, so earlier in this meeting, there was a very brief discussion about having our Athens in Motion safety vests available for bus riders. And I asked Daniel how that would happen, and he said that I should reach out, or somebody should reach out to you all and figure out how that would work. So I'm just putting that out there. We have a bunch of safety vests.
Okay.
child size to extra large. And we're happy to provide them to, to you guys to hand out, but, I'd like to see if there's sort of a program before we just sort of give them to you and then have them just sit in the closet.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think that's fantastic. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to attend the first part of the meeting. I was responding to some staffing challenges. But just spitballing here, I think we could probably take some of the safety vest, however much you want to issue to us as a trial run, and we could market their availability to the public, and we could issue those to the customer service staff that work at the multimodal transportation center, and just let the public know that those are available as a resource, free of charge to anyone that wants them.
Okay.
Randy, along those lines, we had a public comment tonight about the potential of having these accessibility mittens that are bright colored to help individuals wave down the bus. Have you heard of such a thing? And I know that sometimes that in the past y'all have had a marketing budget to produce materials like this.
Yeah, and we still do have a marketing budget, and a fantastic marketing coordinator. I'll tell you this, and it's not to diminish the role that those will play, but the vast majority of people in the public, including people from all walks of life, all economic backgrounds, typically have access to a cell phone. And what we have found is that most riders will use their cell phone to light up their screen to draw attention to the bus. That said, not everyone does. And that, again, is another thing that I am happy to help facilitate in a similar manner. Just shoot me an email, and I can coordinate that with my team.
Okay, so yeah, because there's not a transit in motion commission, so is the best
No.
way. We need one.
No.
We should have one. I
Well,
think
I would argue that every day is transit in motion. Every day we have bus service out on the public, it's transit in motion. So that's kind of what we do. But no, to your point, yes.
The best way to get general comments to Athens Transit is to reach out to you specifically, or
you can reach out to me. My name is Randy Brown. You can also reach out to both of the planning staff. One of the planners is named Tina, Tina, Wu, W-U. And then the other planner is named Jeremy, conventional name spelling, Barnett, just like Barnett Scholes. So feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to help coordinate those things. And then, to the point about marketing, we have a social media presence like almost everyone does. And then we also have a captive audience of riders with digital screens on board the bus that we can upload any sort of marketing material right in the moment. Like we've got our transit development plan up being promoted right now. We have all of our service changes promoted actively on the bus as well. So of course our website as well, but website's less marketing and more just, news flashes and pertinent information. So
that's great. I was trying to think there was another question. Oh, okay. Just to provide some context to the Athens in Motion Commission, the transit development plan is something that we have to work on every 5 years because it's our federal funding is contingent upon doing the plan. That's right.
That is correct. Boy, I sure hope we still have federal funding.
Amen to that.
But not short of going down that rabbit hole. Yes, it is a federally required document. We were supposed to have it done last year. There have been a lot of changes in leadership and management in the transit department. And so it has been delayed, but like all things that get delayed, including transit, we're getting there.
Well, we're we're even further behind on our plan revision, so you're fine. If you're a year, you're good.
You know, I double checked and it actually says 6 to 10 years. So we're
Okay.
just gonna go with that.
Yeah, the 5-year part is our timeline. It's a 10-year plan, but it gets renewed every 5 years rather than going down that rabbit hole. I just say 5. 5 is an easy number.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, okay, well, thank you so much. I think we're excited to receive updates from you all, to be in the same room and just have these conversations about everything that's going on with transit. And I have talked to a bus rider who takes Route 27, and they specifically mentioned being able, the increased frequency twice per hour as being very helpful to them and their spouse, because they are a 1-car household. So it is coming around. So that's great that y'all were able to do that.
Indeed. Yeah. Just to share a brief little bit more on that note, when we navigate the next series of service changes, one of the things that's going to be really important to keep in mind is that, like all things in life, there will be a set of trade-offs that we present to our constituents, to our community, to our stakeholders. And the summary of the trade-off is that there are competing priorities when providing public transportation. Those competing priorities are always frequency of service and coverage of service. So typically, when you navigate those trade-offs, when the community expresses the desire for more frequent service, unless people want to double our budget, which I doubt, and I have not heard that is in the political winds at this point, one of the things that we're going to have a conversation with is, okay, well, we can have a bus come more often, but would you be willing to walk 2 or 3 more blocks to catch that bus as part of the trade-off? So what that means for Athens in Motion, is that we're going to be heavily leaning on our partners in the community to help bolster sidewalk connectivity, bike lanes, those first and last mile connections, because typically what I've seen elsewhere, and I've been in the transit industry for about 10 years, give or take. And I actually grew up in a transit dependent family. I grew up riding public transit. My grandparents were legally blind, as a learning disability. And I grew up in Seattle, where there is a robust public transportation network. And you basically, if you have a really dense community, think Seattle, think San Francisco, think New York City, DC, you can typically have very good coverage and very good frequency, but the less dense a community becomes, the more faced with the competing priorities of frequency or coverage. So, based on the public engagement we've had, we're getting a sense that the community has more of an appetite to walk a couple extra blocks in exchange for a bus may be coming every 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes at best, but in most cases once an hour. So just throwing that out there and kind of priming people, there'll come a time that we navigate this conversation and navigate what changes we're proposing. And that'll likely be a theme that you see through the process.
Yes, well, I'd love to, have us partner with you guys, because I think sometimes there's this, how do I say this? It would be great to have y'all advocate for sidewalks.
Yes, it would.
Oh, and right, that has been among hiring bus operators, so that I can restore service. Sidewalks has been my raison d'etre, and I think Daniel can attest to that. He's heard me. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's from Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, I plan on attending the meeting in person next time, so you'll get to see my bald head and red beard. You'll get to put a face to the name.
Cool. Wonderful. Okay, great. I'm excited. Okay, yes.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, moving on to Transportation Public Works staff updates. I see we have some notes on NC votes and our monthly crash report. Can we squeeze it all in? What was that? I try to get all in.
Anything? Katie, go.
No.
Yeah, please. You have any questions about the crash report?
Where is it?
Yeah.
I think it's in your email.
I didn't get it.
Well, just recently.
Oh, just like.
It was, you know, here, I'm gonna pull it up. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Great. I'm gonna download it and pull it up.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Well, I will share. No, that's my face. I didn't want to show my face.
Wait a
It's not correct.
It's in the same thread as Lauren's note.
Okay, yes, got it.
Let me make my face go away. Nice, okay. Yeah, so maybe Katie will come back.
Nice.
But here is our crash report. 462 crashes, 3 fatalities, 45 injuries, 33 visible injuries or fatal crashes. Sorry, y'all. I'll make this a little bigger. So sorry. Let's make it so we can actually get it. 5 involved pedestrians, so people on foot or rolling, and 4 involved people biking. And again, we're still trying to like parse some of this data that we're coming in. So there's some footnotes here. So there's 45 injuries, and the footnote with that is not clear if this includes fatalities. And then for the bicycle involved, Gears does not seem to have a search function for other micromobility. So we don't know, we can't separate out things like scooters or one wheels or, you know, certainly not e-bikes or anything at this point. So there's some limitations to the information that we're getting.
Daniel, do you know the percentage, like if we have 100 people walking, how many people biking would that percentage be for that population?
Like statistically,
like in Athens, we have 7,000 people that walk a day and 20 people that bike. So when you see the 5% versus 4% numbers,
we can look at like
bikes are getting hit a lot more.
We can see like in 2022 count numbers. I'll see what we can do. I mean, we have Urban SDK, but their bike ped package is coming out soon.
We don't have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
just national generic.
Yeah.
Numbers.
Yeah, there's not like a good way to get the stats, but we can look at crash frequency. That's about it.
So for visible injury crashes, so these are K and A crashes. K means killed. Again, A means serious injury. North Avenue on January 5th, someone hit a utility pole and they were ejected and they're seriously injured. And it looks like there's a note for January 7th. Timothy at Cypress Manor, it flipped, serious injury. East Campus Road, UGA student on scooter hit curb, unconscious, and lost a tooth. Oh, serious injury. January 17th, driver stopped in the middle of the road when we turned left. That's US 129 at Hull. We did a lot on that at 29 at Hull. Yeah, we've heard this before. Oncoming car swerved, but hit. Serious injury. There's another note on January 17th. And then a single vehicle hit a tree in icy conditions and died. That's at Danielsville Road at Harvey Mathis. And then January 27th, Oak and South Poplar. Oh yes, I saw this crash. Car pulled out of parking lot into another car going down Oak. I saw that. I drove past that. So the crashes involving pedestrians, so those are people walking, rolling in wheelchairs. On January 7th, Broad Street at Old Epps Bridge, car hit pedestrian in the middle of the road. Oh my God. Pedestrian officially, no crosswalk, and they died.
Now that is a location where we have a lot more fatalities in that one spot, and we're working with GDOT to. They reached out to us to accelerate the portion of the road safety improvements that is probably, the road safety project, the road safety audit. In 2021, we did a road safety audit, and then there's a road safety project for that corridor. They reached out and want to pull the pedestrian hybrid beacon out to improve a crossing here, to address that. So we're also working to accelerate and get lights installed west of the intersection, but that's proving to be kind of tricky because all the utility poles are so far back. That like we would basically need to install light poles closer, and we can do that, but with the upcoming road project, if things move around and if there's a multi-use path going in, it has to be coordinated so that our new light poles aren't in a spot where it's gonna be a multi-use path. So
Right.
we're hoping that there are some poles on the existing road that we could go ahead and just start putting lights up at, but just to match the standard of what's east of Alps.
I was inches away from being another person that killed somebody on that road this weekend because they were in dark clothes and there wasn't enough light walking across the street slowly.
Get them a vest.
So dang,
Was it at the McDonald's area?
closer to the bridge.
Yeah, there's a lot of pedestrians that walk along, especially across the bridge there, and late at night.
Yeah. And I like hearing the words accelerating in terms of like getting safety improvements, not in terms of people driving their vehicles.
Yeah.
Yes. Where are you going with that?
The only time we like.
Yeah. So, bye, Jason.
Thank y'all.
Further up nearby, downtown at the Classic Center, Thomas at Washington, a driver hit two people and killed one of them. And apparently the driver was arrested for homicide by vehicle. I don't know how often that happens. But I did see today, ACC staff installing improvements, some new blinky flashes in there. So that seemed to be what they were doing, or upgrading the blinky flashes.
Okay.
Or RFBs.
We like Blinky Flash.
No one told me about it. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know what other improvements are coming forward.
Were they
Replacing
replacing?
comes up when you hit the
It-
button.
Were they putting in new?
It looked like they were new, that they were more up to speed, up to the more modern ones besides the ones that were there.
Huh.
Yeah, you can walk by there or something, I don't know. But they were definitely doing stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is that square between the Classic Center and Washington Street.
Daniel doesn't know about it, so they were actually probably just stealing Blinky Flashes.
Yeah, well, that's fine, whatever. As long as it happens. Yeah, we've had a lot of fatalities of people in the crosswalk downtown in 2 years. God. I mean, we've had this one, and then we have improved blinky flashes at East Broad Street now by near the marker further up. Those are great. I love those. They have a light and there's a loud voice that says the light's on. And then we also had someone die in the crosswalk at Jackson Street. So, I mean, more and more people are walking, and there's more and more people taking scooters and stuff, as the density.
Like, you should have seen Village Avenue this afternoon.
Yeah.
What happened?
1,000 people were out running, walking, jogging,
It's a
biking.
nice day.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Someone should submit a T-SPOS project for that. Oh, we did.
Oh.
We also submitted one project. Okay. Also, so sorry, I'm gonna move us along. Cathwood, driver had stopped for icy traffic. Pedestrian was in the road speaking to driver, and another vehicle hit both. Wow. And that was visible injury. And then private property off Atlanta Highway, driver cutting through Olive Garden. Driver at fault. And then Lexington at Whit Davis, driver turning left, failed to yield to person and crosswalk. So, I bring up the crosswalk thing because sometimes people, when they hear someone was hit, they're like, well, were they in the crosswalk or they weren't in the crosswalk? People are still getting hit in the crosswalk. It doesn't matter. You're a vulnerable human. The bicycle involved crashes. Cherokee Road at Shoal Creek Drive. Driver continued to try and pass person biking with oncoming traffic approaching and struck bicyclist's arm. And we don't know if that's an injury or serious injury or what. Then on Lumpkin Street, a student turned left into league and pool lot without yielding to someone in the opposite lane. So the person biking was taken to the hospital. Another one for Lumpkin at Riverview, bike crashed into curb. They're okay. Our, visible injuries. College Station at East Campus, student turned right on red without yielding to person biking crossing the bike path. So these are the kinds of things that do happen a lot. The person biking is not seen. Right. UGA does have a lot of the green paint down, or at least near the intersections. I can't remember College Station at East Campus.
I'm at that intersection every day, and every single day I have to stare down the drivers turning right. I mean, I'll point at them and I have a flashy light on my helmet and I yell at them but.
It's a large intersection, all the crosses are.
Yeah, it's much better just because of what somebody in ACC did. The middle lane no longer can turn right. It used to be able to turn right on East Campus. That's blocked off. There are good signs. And then the walk signal is activated before the traffic goes. So all of that stuff is really good.
All right, so this was our crash report. It's 6 o'clock, so if anyone needs to go, feel free to go ahead and go. And then we're over time. Again, I want to thank Katie for getting this together. I might talk with her about, I wonder if we can get this more in slide format because it's a little bit hard for me to have I'm realizing how it's hard to show the map and also have the descriptions here without having to zoom out too far. So maybe that's the next thing we can work on. But it's really important to surface these crashes, and this number unfortunately continues to be very high and takes a lot of our police department's resources.
Okay, I have a thing I'd like to say. I'm sorry Jason left, but this monthly crash report, how can we publicize this so people know that these things are happening?
I don't know. I'm working on all that with the plan. If you let me finish the plan, then we'll get there. So I can't keep doing the little things because it just takes up all my time. So
take this PDF and share it on social.
we will take that question and
Share it and see.
Well, why don't you
Delighted to.
why don't you send an email? Send an email to Jason and Steven and Ronnie. And
Record.
yeah, ask them. I mean,
everyone's eating their popcorn now, watching the crash.
it could be attached maybe as part of the agenda if it gets to you soon enough. I would need to like re-upload all the agendas if that was the case, but maybe I can get Katie to help me with that as well. So
ratings on us.
So are you saying that I can or I cannot put this report?
please email my supervisors.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying you should do.
Okay.
How about
Right.
like with Flagpole or Athens Banner Herald? Athens Banner Herald, you get all the restaurants that have inspections. And so have crashes.
Whoever thought about using a newspaper to get information out.
Yeah. I think Flagpole would be more interesting.
Right.
It's not that you can't, it's just that like what format is the best,
Sure.
and like let them kind of hash it out. I don't really have much.
But they could just take a little square and just give updates on how many people were killed in our wonderful city. Cracks we had.
All right.
There was another crash on Lumpkin Street down near Westlake that was actually deer related.
Oh, Guess we didn't say that. Yeah, Katie was saying some stuff she's not.
I happen to know there was a Lexus tow.
God, are they okay?
Yeah, he's okay, but
The deers don't get marked as,
The deer didn't make it.
yeah, those don't get marked as fatal crashes.
All right, real quick, any updates from any of our committees?
No.
And, general UGA?
Nothing new.
Anything else from Greenway?
Happy to follow Todd every day.
Nice. Yeah, Alan, anything from T/2023?
Did me.
Okay. And then did we lose, Scott, do you have a joyride coming up? Oh, can't hear you. But if you just speak.
Joyride at 6 o'clock on Friday.
Nice. Great. I think the electric bike group is doing another ride soon. No, I don't know if they posted this. Any other announcements? Okay. All right, I'm sorry that we went over. I want to thank Daniel for coming early to help us get the room set up, even though I still started us late, so I'm sorry about that. But thank you all, and again, I will not be here next month, so be nice to Teresa.
Yeah, be nice to me.
I'd be afraid not to.
And I want to thank Transit for coming, and also thank our public commenter, Jacqueline. Nice to meet you. I see that you're excited to stay the whole time.
Yeah,
Right?
I missed the work, so I'm glad to be a
Thanks for
part
coming.
of something and to help, keep things rolling. So
Awesome. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Aye.
All right.
Oh, and make sure you write to Mike Collins and tell him that the legislative branch needs to maintain the power of the purse. We want to keep our funding.
I'll have that conversation now.
Collins.
You.
And actually, if someone could just ask.
They-